which says the statement that says treat others as we would like to be treated does not apply with love. What applies is you treat others the way that they want to be treated, not how you would want to be treated, but how they want to be treated. Which means if you don't understand how your man wants to be loved, you need to ask them what do I have to do for you to feel that I love you? That conversation needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
Don't assume, don't make assumptions. Rather than assuming, ask the question, how would you like me to love you?
Today we are talking about love and men. How do men perceive love? How do men receive love? So that's what we're going to be talking about. Hopefully it is something that a lot of people can relate to, and we are not saying again that our opinions are the end or be all of this topic. We are pretty sure that people out there will have varying and quite possibly contrary opinions. So this is our opinion, and take it for what it is. If you feel willing to share yours in the comment section, or you want to come on live, you are more than welcome to. So we'll be happy to have you on. The topic for today is, how do men perceive love? It might, from thinking about the topic, what came to mind, also?
Again, I think men perceive love differently. I think that's the biggest deal. I think because we are individuals and unique in our own different ways, because of our background, because of our upbringing, because of just who we are. I think the one thing that I think probably is universal is that, how I perceive love would or might be completely different from how you perceive love and how the next man there perceive, right? I know there are certain views or concepts that might be universal, but I know that how we see love is completely different. If you talk to 10, 20 men, how they perceive love, how they feel like they're loved by a woman, they would give you maybe 10 different answers, right? So yeah, I think that was the very first thing that came to mind. That love, again, is defined and seen by people differently, and so they would definitely have to perceive it differently, that's for sure. Yeah.
By differently, you mean how you were raised, your culture, where you're from, all those things?
I think it's a combination of all, where you're raised, your culture, even talking about level of education, right? And what kind of education you got. Environment plays a lot in terms of how we see or we want to be loved. Society tells us one thing. Sometimes people are forced to succumb to what society is telling us about love. But again, like I said, how we perceive love here in Canada, for example, would probably be different from how I would have perceived love when I was in Cameroon, right? So I think, I think it's a combination of things. It's not just one, but I think you put a couple of things together and then it kind of builds who you are, right? And how you see the world and how you see things like love, concepts like love or other concepts that exist out there.
Well, that's a fair point. I mean, we're all influenced by how we grew up, where we grew up, when we grew up. So all those things come on how we perceive love. I'm sure through your research for this live, you did come across all the 5 love languages. Did you? Words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, receiving gifts. I think recent psychology has tried to classify love in those 5 ways that people tend to receive love. For you, which one is the most common among men, at least the guys that we deal with?
For me, I would say, for me, if I were to put it on a list, I think I would prioritize acts of service. And again, like I said, if you look at your background, where I grew up, and learning how, how love happens, quality time wasn't something that I saw my parents or even people around me do. Yes, they once in a while they had that, but it wasn't a thing. I didn't hear anyone really talk about love in that way, right? So growing up, it wasn't something that I was looking for.
Yeah.
That I was growing up looking for in a woman or in a girl. It wasn't, quality time wasn't part of it. Physical touch too. I didn't. I mean, maybe our parents did that in hiding because again, in a society where public show of affection wasn't really wasn't predominant. You didn't see that very often. So I probably grew up not knowing that that was a one way of demonstrating that you loved someone,
Yeah.
because it wasn't something that was common. I didn't see that very often. Again, not saying that it didn't happen, but it might just happen in a private environment where it's just you and that
Yeah.
partner in question, right?
Well,
And then yeah, so I would say acts of service. I knew most of the men that I saw around me took um expressed love in doing
right.
things for either for their partners or for the home. That was the way that I saw people demonstrating how they love each other. um and again, that too goes with just being on top of your responsibilities,
Yeah.
right? That was one of the ways. Like, I would pay the rents, the school fees for the kids would be ready. I'll go to the farm, I would harvest the plantain, I would just act us just by doing things. That is how men showed love where I grew up. I know in some parts of the world that might not be somebody will say, oh, it's your responsibility to do that. Yes, it might be my responsibility, but I'm not obligated to do it in that sense, right? There are men out there who don't care if the rents are paid, who don't care if children have clothes to wear, who don't care if there's school fees, right? So a man who does that is a way for him to demonstrate that I care about you, I love you, so I'm going to make sure that you don't lack any of these basic essential needs, right? That is how men showed up. For me, that is how I show up. I take pride in demonstrating to my wife and to my kids that I love you by making sure they have everything that they need. So yeah, I would put that on top of the list if I were to classify how I would show love for to people I care about.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with what you said. And growing up in our generation back in Africa, did you see any adults kiss in front of you or hug even or tell each other I love you? That was I never heard that growing up. I grew up not seeing my parents do that, not seeing my aunts or uncles or even my elder brothers, those around me doing that. Review that wasn't really something that we grew up saying. I wonder if that has changed too. You knew that your parents loved you by the things that they did for you. Your parents will come and tell you I love you or you're loved, but you just knew within you that they did, because they will pay your school fees, they will put clothes on your back, they will have meals ready for you. You come back from school and you see your mom cooking for you and stuff like that. So words of affirmation and physical touch is not something that we generally grew up saying. So I would say most of us are very lacking in that department, if you say. And that's not to say we didn't receive love. We received love. Imagine your mom will whoop your bum and then she turn and ask you, are you hungry? That's her way of telling you she loved you. Do you think things are changing in that light? Like people are becoming more um, um, quality time, and people are doing more words of information to kids? I think it's changed a little bit. Would you agree?
I definitely agree. I mean, as as I don't know if we say people get a little bit more civilized or more open-minded. People review how they do things. I think coming here and seeing how things are done, I think I have greatly reviewed how I perceived love, right, or how I show or receive love. Now I'm consciously thinking about some things like quality time. It's something that I'm consciously thinking about, right? I know that spending time with your partner, it's important. It builds a connection, and it enhances your relationship. So even though for me, acts of service will be my primary, I try as much as possible to kind of incorporate the other the other love languages based on what I feel my wife enjoys, right? I know she enjoys spending time with me. She values that. I know my kids values value spending time with me, and in turn I value spending time with them. Initially it would not be something that I value, but again, when you see that the other person values something, you need to get to a place where you too can see the advantages of that, right? And I think there's lots of advantages of spending quality time with the people that you love, or people that you love showing spending quality time with you, just because it enhances a lots of things, connections, bonding with the kids, good conversations, right? Because just being together, opens you guys to have conversation about things that you might not talk about usually. So yes, I think um, we should. I think we should take the
Sure.
time to evaluate or reevaluate our positions, and incorporate other aspects of the love language that we might not be familiar with, or we might not be too comfortable with, right?
Yeah. And just piggyback on that, I could not remember the time my dad went out with us to play with us, or just go out and do something random and fun. We never did that. We never did that growing up. So it was really strange. And I mean, I enjoy doing stuff with my kids, going to the park and doing something fun. But it has is due to a very big shift in mindset. Um, is something that even if you're not comfortable with, you have to get used to. And I tend to enjoy it. We do fun things when we go to the park, ride your bikes and stuff like that. It serves as a bonding, another way of bonding, which is what some of us did not get while we were growing up, just because of the nature of what we're doing. And I mean, it has really richly increased on how we in our kids' life, the role that we play in our lives in a way that our parents did not, you know. Um, and I'm sure we can see that too, even in people who are in Cameroon. I see people tend to be more close to their
Mhm.
kids the way that their parents were not, even those in Cameroon, and just goes to tell you how the world has become a global village. People say things that others do elsewhere, and then they try to incorporate it in their own lives. Um, there's use advantages in spending quality time with your children. I mean, you get to know what they do, you get to know what friends they have, you get to know what activity interests them.
Mhm.
Many of us grew up, our parents didn't even know what interested us. Our parents already had an idea of what you're supposed to be when you grow up. You have to be a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever. Any other interest was of nothing to them, because that's all they knew, right? But
Mhm.
kids now, they have interest and stuff. I mean, plus with modernity, we are exposed to a lot more than our parents. Our parents did. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the very traditional back home in those days, the more traditional way of relationships, where almost where you couldn't show to the world except to the partner and in private that you love them in certain ways, right? Or even your kids. Parents, some parents would argue that we are not friends, because they feel like when they start spending time with you, then that relationship changes from being a parent to almost being like a friend, right? And they worry about what those implications might be, like a child not respecting the parent because they spend so much time together and they do all these things together, and they somewhat become like, oh, this even though he's my dad, we are friends, you know. Most parents in those days would probably not appreciate that language, but it's a language that we do because we know the advantages of being friends. Technically, you know, having your child consider you as a friend. Again, I put it in quotes because friends, I would also say that he will not treat you as like you were age mates, right? But friends in the sense that he could come to you and be open to talk to you and be open to share whatever it is that's going on in his life. I think that makes a lot of sense. And you know, in addition to that, I think that might kind of go along with you know, words of affirmation, showing appreciations. And again, not again, one thing that I have noticed for myself and for most men is they affirm you, but they don't expressly affirm.
Right.
I don't, you know, I don't remember. Well, it's hard to think about when we're growing up where your dad is telling your mom or your uncle is telling one of your aunts like, this is a very good meal. Like, actually enjoyed this meal. I don't hear that. Or thank you for, you know, for making this meal this evening, right? There's no, or even just saying, I see what you're doing and I appreciate it. Don't hear that, right? But it's pretty important. I mean, I want to hear that, even though sometimes I don't expect it, but it feels good when
Someone tells you.
your wife tells you, I see what you're doing and I appreciate what you're doing, right? It's a whole different feeling. It might be a responsibility, but again, it's a whole different feeling when they can affirm and appreciate the things that you're doing for the family, right? I think men might say we are not looking for that, but when they get it, it tells them a lot about who their partner is, right? It gives them a little bit of boost.
Yeah,
I think that goes.
it's certainly a way to boost their morals. You know, it tells them, I see all the efforts you put in, and I'm grateful that you are doing all these things for us. Um, these are little things that go a long way, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And you just said, I mean, come on. I mean, a wife can say that, and it means a lot. It means that she respects you. It means that she sees the struggles that you go through. It means that she is cognizant of the things that you do for her and the family. I mean, sometimes we easily get lost in our responsibility ourselves. It's hard to say all these things, you know. How about receiving gifts? Is this something that you think men really care about?
I don't think men care. Generally speaking, I don't. If you talk to 10 men, they would tell you, you know, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Most men don't care. If you talk to most men on their birthdays, they are expecting nothing.
Yeah.
Most men. Again, some men do, but most men are expecting nothing. If it's their anniversary, you know, there's men have little to no expectations.
Yeah.
In terms of gifts. If it's Christmas, the last person you hear talk about, oh, what am I getting for Christmas? What gift am I getting for Christmas? It's not the man.
Yeah.
It's not the man. Usually he worries about what everyone else gets.
Yeah.
And not him. Again, not saying that if we get a gift, we will not appreciate it, right? Because again, let people need to understand that that's not the point we're making. Because I'm not expecting or I don't care much for something doesn't mean I will not appreciate if I get it. So if a woman was out there listening to us and say, oh yeah, you see, it makes sense, that's why I don't bother getting him anything. No, you should get him something, because he will appreciate it.
Yeah.
He certainly will appreciate and see value in that. I think that's the point. That's the point we're trying to make, right?
Yeah. We're just saying it's not the priority. Like a man would not say, I feel loved when my wife buys me gifts. I mean, you feel some love, but that is not the main thing that made men feel love. So, okay, we've talked about it. So, in practical terms, what does act of service mean? Does it mean like cooking a meal? Does it mean like having the house clean? Make sure the kids are fed? Make sure your husband has something to eat for mealtime and stuff like that? Are those the little things? I mean, act of service.
Practically that, practically that, even though, again, like I said, it comes across as, oh, it's your responsibility to do it, but you don't really have no obligation to do that, right? So just helping getting the kids ready for school in the morning saves your wife maybe 30
Yeah.
minutes, right? Where she could use that to get a few minutes more sleep or something like that. Just getting the kids ready for school, dropping them off to school on your way to work, as opposed to letting your partner do that, right? Helping with meals, helping with meals. Yeah, she's cooking in the kitchen. She can do it on her own, but I'll come join you there, even if it means cutting a piece of tomato, even if it means just standing there and having a conversation with you while you do the work, right? It's little things like that. If a man comes home and there's food in the pot, it doesn't have to be on the table, because when I say there's food on the table now, people will think I'm that kind of man. But if a man comes home and there's food in the pot in the kitchen, that is an act of service. He would go get out his food, eat, and be happy. That's how a man would
Yeah.
see love. People who say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, there's some truth in that.
There's a lot
There's
of truth.
100%, there's some truth in that statement, right? So that too would definitely be an act of service. Me coming home and seeing you put my clothes in the washer. You're not sitting there washing it. It's not Cameroon. You don't wash it. All you need to do is put it in the washing machine, throw some detergents, and let it run.
Yeah.
Might take you 2 minutes to do that, but I would appreciate it. The level of appreciation that I have for that, it would be a whole lot,
Yeah.
right? So just those little things, that day-to-day things that people do. You come home and the house is clean and it's fresh and it smells nice. Yes, you want that,
Yeah.
right? You didn't have to do it, but I appreciate the fact that I walk in the house and it's perfectly clean.
Clean. Yeah. Okay, words of affirmation. What are the practical things that you think men say? Do I love you and you're doing great? And what are the things that
I,
you think do?
I think men should verbally express their love for their wives or their women more. We do a lot less than we should be doing.
Right.
I would say that I fall in the category of men who don't express that often.
You
Tell
struggle
your
with that.
wife I love you. It costs you nothing to say that. I mean, you have to mean it too, right? Don't just say it because you everybody's out there saying it. You have to kind of mean it, like say in a meaningful, genuine I love you kind of way. Say that. It's a good
Yeah.
thing to say, right? Affirming would be, oh yeah, thank you for this. Thank you for
Yeah.
putting my clothes in the machine. Thank you for getting the kids ready. Thank you for this. I appreciate this. I see this, right? I think we don't take the time to say that. I give you an example. You and your wife are getting ready to go out, or you and your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, doesn't matter. You're getting ready to go out to a party, right? She goes in, she dresses up, she comes out. You look at her, she looks really beautiful. She's perfectly, the outfit is perfect on her. What do? You look at her, you just walk away. You say nothing. You know it's beautiful. Why can't you say you look really beautiful today? Or I like how this, I like the
Right.
outfit that you picked for this
Yeah.
event. We don't say that.
Do you have
We just walk away.
do you have to lie sometimes?
Sorry?
Do you have to lie sometimes?
You don't have to lie. You don't have to.
Okay.
I mean,
If you don't find it beautiful, don't say anything.
I don't think you have to lie, and I think I think if it looks good on her, you should say it looks good on you.
So you're just saying, say the truth. If you find something beautiful,
You say
you say.
it's beautiful.
If you don't find it, don't say anything. If you're not saying anything nice.
But this is where the problem is, right? Because we don't say it when it's nice, and we don't say it when it's not. Then this woman is standing there thinking to herself, is this good or not? because you don't say it when it's beautiful, and you don't say anything when you don't think it's beautiful. So it creates a whole lot of confusion for her, right?
Yeah.
Do you appreciate, do you like this outfit? Do you like the way I look in it? Or are you just going to be quiet and walk away? So I think we should say it more, in the sense that if it's beautiful, say it
Yeah.
is. If you don't like it, maybe sometimes you should express the fact that you don't like it, right? I think you should express the fact that you don't like something. You're not saying go change it, but you're saying I would have preferred something different.
Right.
I think that too is acceptable, so that she knows if it's beautiful, yes, you look lovely in this one. If it's not, you say, I'm not feeling it. It's not giving. I hear people say it's not giving a lot. You say it's not giving. You don't need to explain a whole lot. Just say it's not giving and leave it at that, and let her decide what she wants to do, right? But I think we need to say that a lot more. Men don't say it. Men don't say it enough.
Because we have been socialized through our lives to repress our feelings, to focus on actions, to improve others. We're not as expressive as women. So it's just in a man's nature to, to keep his words to himself. Yeah, can we be more expressive? Yeah, but you don't want to turn men into women too.
It's not. It's not turning men into women, and I disagree with that. Expressing some of those emotions or some of those feelings, it doesn't change you. Telling your wife that she looks beautiful doesn't change you to anything.
No, it doesn't. No,
it doesn't, right?
It doesn't, but I'm saying we can be expressive as men, which means you cannot be expressive all the time, because imagine you are someone that you cannot cry. You have to be strong for other people. You have to respect other people's opinion and not give unsolicited opinions of other people. This tends to affect, whether you like it or not, it tends to affect the way you view the world and what you say. Should I say you should not appreciate your wife when she does something good? Absolutely not. But you, as a man, by nature of the fact that you have, you are that way, you might not be. I think what I'm trying to drive is like, men cannot be as expressive as women in this regard.
Agreed. But I think that we are taking that as an excuse for not being expressive at all. Some men take that as an excuse for just not being expressive. And what I'm saying is we need to do a little bit more. I'm not saying a man should be as expressive as a woman. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that we need to do a little bit more in terms of expressing how we feel, especially complimenting a partner or a wife or a girlfriend for something that you think they are doing well, right?
The topic of today is
how do we?
Yeah.
But again, the reverse is true, because again, I think the point that we've made is the reverse is true for men. Men.
Kind of topic on how men perceive and receive love, and somehow we're talking about how women perceive and receive love. Doesn't that tell you how our world is geared towards pleasing women?
I 100% agree. But again, the point I'm making is that you could reverse each situation and it would apply for some man out there.
Well, but I don't think those things are interchangeable.
In what sense?
Well, I think there are unique ways that men receive love, which is quite different from ways that women receive love. Are they overlaps? Sure, the things are overlap, but there are ways that men receive love that is quite different from women.
Yeah, I don't completely agree with you on that. Like I said, every man has a very unique way of receiving love, right? I agree that there's some cross sections where
something like quality time doesn't really appeal to men. Like what?
No, it doesn't appeal to you. There is some man out there who enjoys that, right?
Okay, in a man's mind, what is quality time?
In a man's mind?
Yeah.
In my mind, quality time would be, I'll give you examples, right? Going for a run, for a jog with your partner, could be quality time for some men. Again, like I said, each man is unique. A man who enjoys the exercise and the running and the jogging would probably find a good companionship in the partner joining him for a run,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's
A man who enjoys sitting home with a bottle of with a glass of wine and watch a good movie. There are men out there who enjoy that. They would definitely find quality time in having their wives or their partners join them in that, right? Men who enjoy going to watch games, it could be soccer, rugby, whatever. There are men who do that, and there are women who understand that their man enjoys something like that, and they accompany them to go do that. The man enjoys that time, right? So quality time means different things.
Well, it means different things.
It means
So you just have to
different things to different people, but I think it would apply to both men and women.
Okay, makes sense. So you just have to figure out what works for your man. Or
you have to figure out what works. And I read there's a certain statement that I read, which is the statement that says treat others as we would like to be treated does not apply with love. What applies is you treat others the way that they want to be treated, not how you would want to be treated, but how they want to be treated. Which means if you don't understand how your man wants to be loved, you need to ask them what do I have to do for you to feel that I love you? That conversation needs to happen, right? Yeah. Don't assume, don't make assumptions. Rather than assuming, ask the question, how would you like me to love you? What should I be doing that would tell you that I love you? Because I really want to show you that I love you, but I don't know how.
Oh, that's a good question.
Exactly.
Very, very good question. I enjoy your insight on this. You're very more knowledgeable than me here. Do you think some of these things have changed over time? You know, like we already said, people are more connected to their children, to their loved one. I mean, men spend more time, more quality time, especially the things that they do. Has it changed for you from your parents to our generation, do you think?
I think there's definitely been a very big, significant leap from my parents to me. But what I've also noticed is that as I age, how I see love or what I expect for love is different.
Right.
Because again, age comes with responsibilities, age comes with health issues, age comes with a lack of desire to do certain things. So I have realized that as I have grown, how I show love or what I would expect as love from my partner is different. Has been different. When we were just single and not single, when we were just a couple, just the two of us, and had no kids, right? The expectations for love were different. Once we had a second child, it changed. Because again, the children come, you get older and things like that. Once you have the third child, there's a significant change in what your expectations are, right? And again, just talking about acts of service, sometimes I come home, there's food, but it's not food for me. Right? It's food for the kids.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
So your thought is, would she have made food for you? Should she have taken the time that she used to make food for the kids to make food for you instead?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you appreciate the fact that she made food for the kids and the kids are not hungry?
Yeah.
Which, so how I perceive and how I show love has changed significantly. Right. Just as not even from my parents to me, but just looking at my growth, my own life, right? There's significant change in that. I don't expect the level of physical, I don't expect the level of connection to be the same, because some of that connection has to go to the kids. I was having a conversation with my wife. It's like, it seems like you're more interested in how well the kids are doing than how well she is doing, which for sometimes, yeah, it's true. I'm more concerned with the children than her. Again, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying sometimes you see yourself, you know, paying attention to them as opposed to the person, your partner who's right next to you, right?
Yeah.
So as children come, as you grow old, as expectations change, yes, responsibilities come. You know, you lose some of those values or those touches that you would want, right? So I think definitely I have noticed a significant change just in myself, in my house, in terms of that.
It also comes with a change of mindset. You tend to appreciate what she does for the kids, and you find that as love. You know, that is not something that you would have thought to be love when you guys were still single. You know, but when the kids are doing well, and also the product of the kids doing well is that the husband is supporting the wife well, and vice versa.
Exactly.
It's a form of love that if you don't have kids, you probably will not understand. You
Mhm.
know, and it tells you how you can grow, right? Like it's not, you don't become the center of focus, but somehow you find a way to perceive that as love.
Mhm.
You know, because doing something for other people, it's a way of um,
I just to add to what you were saying, and once when I was, you know, kind of getting research for this topic, my wife walked in the room and she asked what conversations we were going to have today, and I kind of explained to her what we're looking for, and this is what she thought. And again, I think this is what she's seen about me. She said she believes that one way to show me that she loves me is how she connects with my extended family. So not my immediate family, me and my kids, but how she connects with my siblings and my mother.
I
But
totally
in
agree.
her words, she said especially how she connects with my mom.
Yeah.
Specifically my mom, right?
Yeah.
So I again, just adding to that, it's nothing to do with me personally.
Right.
It has to do with how she relates with people that I care about. But that relationship tells me how much she values me or how much she cares, how much she loves me, right? Because again, if she doesn't, she can't care about me and not care about my mom, right? You can't love me and not love my mom, or not love my siblings, or not love my extended family, right? There has to be a connect. So she that's what she said. She said, I have noticed that you know, her relationship with my mom affects my relationship with her as well. I think sometimes we ignore that, but that there's sense and there's truth in what
There's
she
a
said.
lot of truth in that. You cannot claim to love somebody and then you hate the people that he or she loves, or the things that he or she loves. You must, by the very fact that you love somebody, you have to care about the people that you love. So loving your mother-in-law, loving your father-in-law, treating them nicely is a reflection of how you're treating your partner. So I that's a perfect statement. Not just in love too, it applies in religion and culture and everything. You cannot claim to love Jesus and then you despise his mother. It doesn't work that
No. Right.
if you truly love Jesus, you should love Mary, not to add a religious context to this. So yeah, so I think those are great ways that you show love, by showing interest in their in-laws, what's going on in their life, showing interest in your brothers and sisters, what's happening in your life, you know. That goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great result. And I think she's watching. Maybe you want to pay tribute to her.
uh, I don't know if she's on already, but yeah, she knew we were.
Maybe we'll read some comments here.
Oh yeah, she's on. Okay, yeah, she's watching. Thank you for that point. That was a good point. Yeah, she's on. She's watching. Yep.
I'm trying to get some comments here.
Okay.
And it does not make you weak or a feminine man. Thank you, my able colleague. So this is from Passy. So I think she's referring to the fact that you can help out with the kids and do stuff around the house in order to show love. Yeah. I think you're a man, you should be able to cook, you should be able to do things for your wife should be able to do stuff for you. All those are ways of showing love. We all need balance. That's one. They don't say that at all. I think this is for Akem Fon, my friend. I think she's meaning telling your partner that you love them and stuff like that. So, yeah, a lot of men struggle with that because that's not how we think we should receive love. That's not how we do it. I think we can do better. but it's better to tell her. Okay, Patience, she was partner for crying out loud. I think she means she's a partner. So we spend so much focusing on weaknesses of our partners and that we forget the strength, reason why we suppress and express, and we even sugarcoat sometimes. So there's a lot of sense in what she's saying. Yeah. Sometimes you want to, and this is you want to express love, then you are clouded by all the negative emotions and stuff like that. It prevents you. And one thing I really enjoy, people that I think have grown in their relationship is people who can fight 1 minute and are able to show love in the way that the other person receives love the next minute. That's I judge how people have grown in your relationship. You can fight contentiously about something, then you smile about something the next minute. I think that shows the ultimate growth in relationship. Patience said love is in phases, so I think she was referring to your point of how you have changed over time in your relationship. Fair point.
That's right.
We have quite a few comments here. Interesting. If anybody is interested to come on and share their ideas, we are more than welcome to
do so. Right.
You're more than welcome.
There's another thing I wanted to bring up, which some sort of a love language, but just an addition to the five that we talked about. It's
Right.
building together, where two people have a common purpose and a common objective, right? So we talked about how we direct some of our love and our affection, our connections to the children that we have, right? Because again, that is the future that we are building for ourselves. But both of us have to have an understanding that we are in this together and this is the future that we want for ourselves, right? That's why I wouldn't mind if I came home and there was no food for me, but the kids were fed, right? Because that is the direction that we want to go. People want a man wants to see a woman planning for the long term, because again, if there's no long term planning, there's no guarantee. I mean, I don't see any evidence that you intend to stay long enough, right? Because again, that is how I see it. If you are planning for this relationship to last, we can't just be planning month by month or day by day. No, we have to have a vision.
Right.
In 5 years, this is what we want to accomplish. In 10 years, this is where we want to be. Then I know that we are in this together, right? That is one way to show that you are committed to me as much as I am committed to you. That you love me as much as I love you, because we have a common plan. Even though, I'm not saying that individuals can't have separate plans within the bigger family plan, right? I might want to, for example, do a little bit of investment back home in Cameroon, just something that I want to do, right? You might want to, further your studies in 2 years. It's sort of personal, but you can see how it connects to the bigger picture as we move forward. So yeah, some people have argued that building together, having that feeling that you are in something together, is one way of showing. It's a kind of a love language, technically speaking.
It is a sense of interdependency, which we all need. You have to know that you're dependent on the other person and the person is dependent on you. I'm going to throw a word and then I'll receive your comments. Say most men receive love through respect.
Respect.
Yeah,
respect.
Well,
it's
yeah, they say, because that's common. It's commonly said back home that respect your husband. That's how he receives and perceives love.
Yes,
you've heard that, right? When somebody says respect the husband, what comes to mind?
Respect your husband. It's it's a tough thing to explain, man. It looks easy, but I feel like it's a difficult thing to explain. What is respect? Because again, I know what respect isn't. Respect is not subjugation. It's not listen to me, everything I say is correct and you can't have a contrary opinion. That's not respect. I know 100% that is not respect. What is respect? I don't know.
Well, maybe sometimes if you truly respect your husband, sometimes you defer major decisions of the family to him, and sometimes you not nag him or make him say things just to please you. Let him take his time. I think that's part of respect. Also, like, maybe taking interest in the things that he enjoys, like we talked about, taking interest in people that he loves, the things that he enjoys. Like, my wife loves Liverpool. She knows that I love Liverpool. So I think that's part of her respect for me. She takes interest in those things. If you really respect him, you can brag about the things that he does. Show pride in the thing that he does or the thing that she, and ensure that his judgment on certain things. You trust his judgment on certain things. That's how I see respect. Not that, like you said, it's a tyrannical, oppressive kind of paradigm. That to show that you value your husband's opinion, and of course, if you truly pick someone that you were attracted to physically, emotionally, mentally, then you tend to want to respect his opinion on things, and you tend to judgment on things too. So I know it can be a very ambiguous term, but I think it really means.
No, but listening to you talk now, and I just Googled the word respect, and this is what it says: a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, and achievements. Right. Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that makes sense.
People just say respect, but what does that really mean in a relationship? You won't see your husband driving off the cliff and then you respect his judgment. No, that's not necessarily what it means. But if the relationship started in a natural way that most relationships ought to start, like a woman sees a man and looks at his life, look at his potential, and like,
qualities, right?
Man, part of my future, I can be able to follow this man's lead. If the man is continuing in that light, continue to be a perfect leader, a good provider, not a perfect leader, a good leader, a good supporter of you, there's no reason why you should not trust his judgment on anything. So you can, defer to him for certain decisions that you think he might have a clearer mind and stuff like that. That's how I perceive.
And just to add to that, sometimes men get stuck and they defer back to their partners. I would want that their partners should provide an honest response or an honest suggestion to that issue, right? There are cases where the woman defers to you because she respects you enough to know that you're the head and she wants you to make a certain decision. Sometimes we defer back. We say, okay, I need to hear what you think about this before I decide, right? And I think that it would be respectful for you to provide a very honest, objective comment or feedback to that. If a man makes a decision and it's what do you call it? It's a flop. Yeah, the woman can respectfully call this man to order and say, see the decision you made, see where it's gotten us to. You could have that conversation. You could rebuke a man, hold him accountable, but in a very respectful, nice, understanding way, right? Not not take him to social media and kill him there. No, you could have a personal, private conversation with that man and tell him how terrible that decision was.
Yeah. And also respecting the things that he does not like. If he says he doesn't, do not do the things that he does not like. Or if say he likes something, maybe try to do the things that he.
A little bit more of that.
That's how I perceive respect. If I say do this and you do the opposite, for me, that's a lack of respect. That's a lack of love. Yeah.
And definitely, words have to match action, right?
Oh,
you can't say something and then do the opposite. And expect that I would understand, or I would definitely have to draw conclusions. If your words don't match your actions, you can't say you love and care and respect me and then turn around and do things that show disrespect or things that show you have no concern for me. and expect that I would think that you do love me, right? So we have to be sure that we are making statements that we can support with actions as well.
Congruent.
I think men definitely would want that.
Yeah. Okay, another word, sex.
Um,
Is that one way that men perceive sex? I think so.
love.
Men perceive love, sorry.
It's definitely a way. It's definitely a way. It's one way of demonstrating that you love a man. I think. Sorry.
How so?
How so? Unless you are really pretentious to an extent that to a very terrible extent.
Yeah.
Women who don't a woman who doesn't love you probably wouldn't want to have sex with you.
Yeah. It shows that she's not into you, she doesn't care about you, or she's grown out of love.
Oh, she's grown out a lot. Yes, and that is why you talk about people who are divorced. How you start knowing that things are not going well is when sex becomes a serious conversation,
Right.
or sex becomes something that you have to plan for. Oh yeah, we can only do it once a week. Oh no, we can only do it 2 times a week. Or you can only do it on Monday. Or if you do it 1 time this month, you can only do it the next time next month. There's no red light.
Yeah.
The light is never going to be any brighter than that. The red light is never going to be any brighter than that. That this relationship isn't working.
Yeah.
When sex becomes something that people begin to program.
Yeah.
If you're programming sex because of health or I don't know, work, it makes sense. But if sex is being programmed to this extent where it doesn't matter, both of you could be home for a month, sleep on the same bed for a month, and you're not permitted to have sex, yeah, it's that love is definitely gone. That love is definitely gone, because a woman who loved you would not deprive you of sex. I don't think they would, because sex is it's one of the ways that people connect, right?
Yeah.
Men connect using sex. And there's also something that I read, which might surprise you. I think I should find it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Well, I think also that the lack of sex to also the involvement of the woman in sex. Some women, they have sex, they show no interest. It's just like a chore. They just want to get this done and get the man off. That's it. So I think men and women can read that people are not really into them when they're having sex. It's just a physical need there that they are trying to fulfill. You get what I mean? Before the wheels falls off, those are signs that shows that the relationship is on decline. Pasi says love does not work when there is hurt. No, that's true. Let's be honest. Oh, I'm sure she means that. Yeah. Look for underlying reasons of what, Pasi? Of the lack of sex or whatever. There are a lot of women who just want to get married for the sake of getting married, just to have the title of it. So they get into relationship with men that they are not really attracted to, with men that they don't really respect, and they're just in there for the title and for the wedding day. And a few years later, they don't want to have sex with your husband. They don't respect your husband. They don't look at him as of having any importance in your life. So, we have a lot of that. People who just want to be in a relationship, people who just want to be married, and that's it. Did you find the love thingy?
Yeah. So what I wanted to say, you could agree or disagree to this, right? They say men also feel loved and connected through sexuality, often to a greater degree than women do. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree.
Yes.
Because for me, there's research, and I'm sorry I cannot pull that out now. After marriage, particularly after children, the libido of men and women drop. But the libido of women drop way down. It drops lower than men. So for a man, a gentle drop and slow. So you guys find an equilibrium that works for you, whether it's twice a week or once a week or however time that you guys work. But when women come, they have children and they become more involved with your children, they have busy lives, they have work and stuff like that. Sex is not really the top of their priority, you know, and you have marriage going for weeks and weeks without any intimacy, and usually the woman has all these excuses as to why she's not having sex. She has to get the kids ready for school, she has to go to work, she has to do this, she has to do that, and then sex becomes some sort of a chore. And
would you agree that Ben too sometimes get to a point where a man is looking for ways to not be at home because he's not wanting to have sex? I've heard people men mention that as well.
Yeah. But I would say it's more common with women. Women having a lower libido than men, you know. And then you add hormonal changes, you add menopause and stuff like that. A lot of women are married to men and they are not really interested in having sex with that man, which is really sad because it's a very physical need for men, not just a way to connect. It's a need for a man to be able to have one and to know that his partner is very still into him of some sort, you know. So a lot of men struggle relationship where they look at their wives and their wife have no sexual interest in them. Maybe it's some reason of theirs. Maybe they've changed and the wife is not attracted to them, or they've put on weight. They are not motivated to do anything and stuff like that. In general, a woman has to see that you're productive and you're giving her more reasons for her to be attracted to you, for her to be attracted to you to have sex. So there's those reasons that men can become less motivated to do anything that make them attracted to their wives, so their wives lose interest. So that's one aspect of it. But just the biological need that a woman has born children, has more responsibilities, preoccupied by other things, sex becomes is put in
right.
Puts in the back burner, and a lot of men are suffering from the lack of this intimacy in their relationship. I mean, just talk to guys, you hear them. Or you talk to women in particular, you hear them not directly, but giving out conditions that they want to have sex with their husband. Or if only you clean the house, if only you do the dishes, if only you fold the laundry, if only you do this and this and this, if only you bought me flowers, if only you bought me gifts and stuff like that, and I will be ready for sex. Those are signs of a declining relationship, that she's not really into you.
That's true. I think I definitely agree. Once they start putting conditions on sex, you have to do this first, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. I get the feeling that, again, it's just a way of telling you this is not something that I want. Right? Once they start telling you, go do this, go do that, get me flowers, get me that, do that. No, it tells you a lot.
Because I mean, trust me, if you divorce, she will have sex with a guy who's not doing any of those things. So it's not really the lack of desire. Well, but in general, to be fair, too, when people, particularly women, when they get in a monogamous relationship, what makes them interested in sex really dies, because there's really no interest. There's not adventure. There's not thrill. You know what I mean? There's nothing exciting in the relationship. So they will come up with all these excuses why they do not want to have any intimate relationship with you, because they've settled in a monogamous relationship. They know where you sleep and put your head. So what really they've seen everything. So what's really motivating for them to be interested in having sex with you?
I think that it definitely goes both ways, Ghana. I read something. It says it is said that men feel stronger feelings of attachment and connections when there is a novelty and adventure in a relationship.
Right.
It speaks exactly to what you're just saying, right? You know, I know that most
between men and women, when men don't really care about the adventure, as long as they have really available sex and their wife shows some level of interest in having sex with them, men will tend to find they don't need to go to a hotel to have sex, or motivated to have sex. They don't need to receive flowers to be motivated to have sex. They don't need to have a nice. A man can still have sex when things remain normal, but you have to motivate your wife every now and then to get her to still be interested to, to be intimate with you.
Yeah, and that is where they talk about having some novelty and having a little bit of making it a little different each time, right?
It's really a feminine tactic. It's not,
because when it becomes monotonous, where it's the same the same thing, the same this, the same that, the same that, you need to make it, you change things around, right?
Of us men will be fine with that. But you need to spice it up generally to have your woman be interested in doing it.
Yeah. So physical touch and sex, do you see there's a difference there?
In the mind of a man, no. In the mind of a woman, yes. In the man, particularly African men, physical touch often leads. You must collect when you start physical touch for African men.
But can you do one without the other? Can you do the physical? Must it always end in sex? I think that's the question I'm trying to ask.
No, I think us men can do better, but sometimes we are led by our lower head that we don't think that way. I think we can do that, do physical touch without necessarily leading to sex, but growing up, particularly in our African context where you didn't see your parents touch, you didn't even see them kiss or hug or stuff like that. So what is in your mind when you start having physical touch, particularly in bed? Nobody just calls it has to end in something. So I think we can be better and know that not all physical touch should end to sex, but it comes back to how we were socialized, what is our nature, what is our instincts when we begin to have sex.
I think it also boils down to how accessible sex is for both partners, right? Because if a partner is given the opportunity to get some physical touch, I mean, when in a private space, and he's thinking he is thinking, I better end this with sex because I don't know when this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
Right. Then there's the mindset is this has to end with sex because I don't know when next I get the opportunity. But if sex wasn't something that you have to look for or to press for, right? You're probably feeling less pressure to have sex because you know that if I want it tomorrow, I'll get it, or if I want it next week, I'll get it, right? So you can really connect with someone, physical touching, hugs, kisses, just laying there in bed, right, and holding each other's hand without really thinking that this needs to end, without feeling a pressure that this needs to end in sex. I think access too matters. The only reason why men want to end it with sex is because maybe there's no guarantee that tomorrow he's going to get the opportunity.
Very possible, very possible. But maybe I'm just using anecdotes here, but most of us men, particularly us in our generation now, we did not see these things in our parents. We did not see our parents just hug for the sake of hugging or kiss each other for the sake of kissing. So with that framework in mind, when that happens, or a woman, or neither do we expect our wives to just come on and hug us for the sake of hugging.
Maybe they do that just for the sake of doing it.
And I think the common complaint for women that all physical touch should not end in sex. So I'm sympathizing with the women here. I'm not trying to bash them at all. Mm-hmm. But just the way we grew up where you didn't see any of these things. So any little physical touch should obviously, it's in a African mind, obviously should lead in that direction. And I'm saying that we can do better. We should not think that all physical touch should lead to sex. No, well, you can just hold touch for the sake of touching. But I can understand where men are coming from. This is not something that they were used to seeing. They only assume that it should happen between a man and a woman, and anything that happens in that nature should obviously be necessarily ending. Mm-hmm. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll have quite a few comments. I'm not sure. Marie Law says underlying issues. I'm not sure. She says child again. So it's been interesting, and I really enjoy your insight. You're very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Uh,
Um,
we we could go on and on, but we've already been here for about an hour.
yeah.
So I don't know if it's time to close, or maybe I should.
Yeah. Anyways, just to say we all receive love differently, and we should invest in knowing how our partners want to receive love. I
Mhm.
guess that's the take-home message.
Yeah.
Uh, you, I mean, there's some generality, but you have to do the work to be able to know what your partner specifically wants. Particularly men who are not as expressive as women,
Hmm.
you need to be able
And 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 there's definitely no issues asking the man how he wants to be loved.
right.
I think that is a conversation that we should have a lot more. Like, you need to talk to your partner. You need to get to know them, because most of the time, what I've noticed is that we assume things about our partners which are not necessarily true. And because our partners are loving of us and respectful of us, they most of the time don't challenge. They don't want to challenge it, right? So I think rather than assuming how your partner or your wife or your husband wants to be loved, you could simply just ask them the question and have that conversation, and get to know them better. uh then that way you can both show each other love in the way that they want to, because again, there too many ways of showing it. Too many ways. One way might work for you but not work for your partner, right? So you need to figure out definitely what works.
Oh, patience. Let me see if I can bring patience. What is she? Did she request your request? Let me, are you watching?
She said she sent a request.
I would like to bring her on, but I didn't see her. Let me see. She's probably okay. Let me see if I can bring her. Oh, unable to add guest. Why?
Why? Just the two of us.
Okay. Law says, thank you. People vibrate at different frequencies, so we cannot use assumptions. Let's try to explain ourselves lovingly. Yeah, such a nice message. And particularly, again, trying to bring I think we've been going. I can't seem to add her. Oh, yeah. Let's see.
Did you
Yeah,
find it?
yeah. I saw. Let's see what she says. She's the love queen. Oh, there she.
She's the love queen.
The love.
Opinions, Pasi, opinions. Let's go.
It's Martin. Greetings, I do Park Talk Show.
Hi.
It's been an amazing talk, and I think the talk is very balanced because Ghana is on the other side and Asong is on the other side. Thank you, Asong. I'll give it to Asong for saying all what was in my mind, but let me say this. I think that at the end of the day, all what we seek for is balance, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Asong said something that resonated with me very much, that relationships are in phases. When you had the first, the second, and the third. And of course, we need to agree or acknowledge or accept the fact that we are growing older. That is the truth. The same energy you had when you had the first one, or when you were not even at the stage of having the first one, is completely different when the first one came, the second, and then the third, right? But one thing for sure that I want to say here is the fact that sometimes, like we say often, why is it that physical touch will always end like you get some because you don't know when you're going to get some? The inaccessibility and stuff like that. The truth is, as some, you are my colleague, for every behavior, there are underlying factors. And you said something about assumptions, which is, I do think that at the end of the day, we spend so much time focusing on the fact that you did this, I'll just reciprocate, than actually finding out why. Some behaviors in your relationships are what actually addressing, but sometimes we don't even have the time to address them because the minute somebody brings something up, shooing, we in the defense side where we want to defend every behavior that we've been exhibiting. No, it doesn't work like that. I really insist on the fact of having open and honest conversations just because you want to find that balance to understand where your partner is at. Sometimes it has nothing to do with high or low libido. We are in a world where there is information everywhere. That is so true. If we are willing to explore to get that satisfaction that we want, we will. But what is holding us back is the other small things that I think my partner needs to do this that they are not doing. I think my partner needs to do this that they're not doing that. Sometimes you get it bad and you know what? Nothing happens. Like even when the other person touches, nothing happens. But it boils down to one thing. As Song said it, treat your partner the way they want to be treated, not the way you want to be treated. There is so much truth in that. Why? Because sometimes you don't even understand that this person is behaving like this because of this. You have no idea. But just call it to their attention like, hey, babe, what's going on? Let me know. I just do think that we don't marry for the sake of marrying sometimes, even though some people do. But we cannot generalize. But guess what? You can't be in a relationship for 15 years and still think that somebody is not reciprocating because they just marry you for marrying. Ghana, we need to be honest. We need to get in touch with ourselves and...
You explain more because I didn't understand what you meant.
Sorry?
Can you explain more?
Yes, what I'm explaining more is that if I got married for the sake of getting married, I will not hide that for more than 5 years, Ghana. Please, I beg. If I got married to you and I had 1, 2, 3 kids, guess what? I will not be able to be pretending that I got married for the sake of getting married. Ghana, let's be honest. There are just some times that we lose that touch with our partners, which is obvious. But we lose that touch because we don't want to communicate. Why are we so comfortable communicating with people outside and communicating with the person that you sleep with on the bed? We have this problem. We did not see our parents hug, but can we start hugging because we want our children to understand that it's important? You get the point, Ghana? We need to be able to do these things. There is something that does not exist in our relationships that I've seen it so much that sometimes I'm comfortable, but sometimes I think I'm guilty. Flexibility is one thing that helps a lot of, partners grow, help a lot of relationships grow. The fact that you can provide that safe space is also a good thing to have those conversations, just to understand that, okay, at the end of the day, I can meet you where you are at and we can work things out. But it's always about me. We are still married and we still talk about me. We are still married and still think that washing dishes or cleaning the floor is doing a favor to your partner. No, it's not. Especially when you have a partner that works, when you have a partner that is actually in a space where they want to be able to do all these things. Because guess what? Women will suffer a lot from burnout in their homes. Men will suffer from burnout in their homes when the other partner is not actually noticing that I need to step in, Ghana. And now one of the highest killer for libido, I might tell you, now some of these things. People need to talk about, but that is the truth.
Let me bring recent research, and I'm sorry, I don't have that. The level of attraction in the relationship influenced negatively, so disproportionately, by when the man does more house chore. The woman doesn't feel more attracted to him. That's the recent research that just came out. So
I beg you, where when I give my man that research may read.
Well,
I'll put red cap and me work on top.
I'm not saying men should not help out at home. Obviously, men have to help out, but do not think that doing the dishes, doing the laundry, makes your wife more willing to have sex with you. It doesn't happen.
Ghana, let me tell you something. Whether we talk about some of these things or not, the reality is this. When somebody is exhausted at the end of the day, guess what? It's not about having an erection and going in that bam and you're out. No.
It is sometimes.
No. But tell me, sometimes the partner might be willing to compromise just because, okay, they have the energy to do it. But guess what? When they're exhausted, they don't. They're not even in that mind space to be able to say, okay, you know what? And you also said about the fact that where they're just doing it like, okay, they just sleep there and you do it and you. Those are some of the reasons why. It's difficult for some people to actually understand or accept that, but that is the truth. I would tell you. A A lot of people will not have these conversations. A lot of people will not talk about it. A lot of people are even tired just talking about it, because as soon as they bring these things up and their partner go into a defensive mode, then they are not even willing to have the conversations anymore. So how do they keep pushing when you are so resistant to think that, okay, this is what she's complaining about? No, Ghana. Sometimes, as I say, it's as simple as ABC. Sometimes we complicate. They say, this life not complicated. Now we complicate this life. The only thing everybody wants in their relationship is balance. Like Asam said, I want to come back home and find the home clean. You know, that is motivating to him. It shows him a level of welcome to his own home, right? But think about the fact that he never helps, and he has somebody that needs to work, that needs to cook, that needs to clean, that needs to make sure the kids are in check.
Patience, I don't think we're advocating for that on our platform.
Wait,
I think men have
let me learn. That is why I'm insisting on the fact that there needs to be a level of balance. And if there is no balance, the conversation needs to happen.
But
you people need to be...
My argument is they can be a level of balance. But as long as the woman is not interested to have sex with you, no matter the level of balance, no matter the work you do at home, she will not be interested in having sex with you.
As long as the partner, say the partner, don't say the woman. Say the partner. There is somebody reached out to me today and said, she heard me talk. Let me share this here. I really wanted to talk about it on the show, but let me share this here. She reached out to me and she said, I heard you one time said you had 3 kids through C-section. I said, yes. She's like, does that make a difference in your relationship? I'm like, what do you mean? I was a little confused, right? And she said, no, my husband is starting to complain that I'm bigger down there because we just had 3 kids. And I'm like, okay, you know, tell me now a little bit. Now, the demotivation is coming from the fact that she's not as when they met. Now that she's had 3 kids, down there has changed, right? That is a demotivating factor for her. So, how much control does she have over that at this point? Can you let me know?
I don't know.
Because, yeah.
Nothing. She can't control.
She can do about it. So she needs to physically now and emotionally start thinking about the fact that, okay, I need to do something to change the size down there. No, tell me about some of these things, Ghana, because you said when the woman doesn't want to have sex, there are too many demotivating factors that people need to explore in their relationships in order to get to that point where you're not feeling like you want to have and the other person is not ready, or you want to have and the other person is not ready. This one has nothing to do with exhaustion. This has nothing to do with chores. This is not even related.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to think to myself, like, are you serious? The guy was like, maybe I'm just thinking too much, but this is what he said. So she's reaching out to me to think that maybe because I didn't have natural babies, maybe it's not affecting my relationship in that aspect.
I think men need to. I mean, you have 3 kids and you expect everything to be the same. Like, is she a magician? First of all,
first of all, who goes there and measures size? Like, this is still big or it's still small? Who measures?
I mean, you have to recognize that the baby is not a piece, or it's not a seed. It's not a peanut. It's not a little piece of peanut. This is sometimes children weigh 9 kilos. Or so it comes out from there, and you expect it to just because what is it? What is it?
Ghana, let me say something.
9 kilos, sorry. 9 kilos. But there are big babies out there, right? Like, how do you expect it to be the same?
You know, after that, I read that message from that girl. There was something that got to my mind. I'm like, if she could actually tell him to make it bigger down there, is he able to do it?
Well, I don't.
Right? If you break a woman down in that way, how motivated do you think she will be to have sex with you? Because it's breaking her down. That statement, it breaks her down completely. So when you break her down in that way, where is her motivation for sex though?
Yeah.
Let's just be honest in the fact that, sometimes when we get married to people, we should be comfortable, focusing on their strengths than their weaknesses. We spend a lot of time focusing on the weaknesses of partners that, it blurs our mind to open up to the aspects that they are really good at. As I talked about affirmations, that is a good way to start. And I think that every single person, I was exercising this morning and this thought just came to my mind. Like, At the end of the day, right? In as much as they say don't expect from another person something you cannot give yourself, it also boils down to the fact that the minute you start discovering who you are as a person, it is easy to connect with other people. Some of us
Exactly.
do not know who we are, to be honest. We get married, bam, there was no orientation to say, okay, you get married, you have sex, you have kids. We have had this conversation over and over again, but nobody teaches you to actually sit down and connect with yourself and understand that at the end of the day, it doesn't only have to be about compromises or negotiations or what. It also has to be with the fact that I need to be authentic with how I'm feeling. And sometimes when you are not in touch with how you're feeling, you start compromising a lot of things that as you age, let me come to this point that has been said, as you age, things start changing. The more we age, they tell us you don't regret losing friends. You just want to spend time with the people that matter to you, right? And one of the people that matters to you at this point will be your partner.
It's your partner.
Yeah.
Right.
So why is that partner not the priority at that point? Why am I not thinking about the fact that we have gotten old, we have got 3 kids, we need to be flexible? If I actually cherish quality time, I'm no longer maybe 30 when I got married. I'm now in my 40s or even mid 40s or late 40s. Do I still want to do the same things that I did when I was in my 30s when I got married to you?
No. No.
Life is in phases, Ghana, whether we agree or not. There are some things that I just want to do now. That is me. And sometimes when my husband says, don't do this, I feel devastated. You know why? Because I'm starting to think that before I got married to you, this is the person I was. And I'm actually lost right now. I'm trying to find me, but you are not even helping me. You are just shutting me down like, no, it's not happening. A lot of people will also lost touch with their partners because of that. We are at a stage in life where it's easy, it's brief. I think we are just at that stage now where a lot of things are happening around us and you're starting to see how life is so short. Let's maximize and prioritize the times we have with our partners, rather than, focusing on quarreling and going for 2 days or 3 days without talking, man. You would have catch up sometimes, we don't things. So it's just about our focus. It's just about the things we want to focus on. It's just how we want to live our lives. And if we cannot find a balance to say, you know what, I know you have a voice, I know I have a voice, let's be expressive rather than suppressive, our relationships will be very easy. That's just all I wanted to contribute. Is it me or Ghana is breaking off?
Ghana, I think you're breaking up. If I'm not mistaken. Maybe I need to mute or something.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I was just trying to say thank you for your contributions. You said quite a bit. Some we can debate all day, and we'll just let it slide because we've been going for a long time. But thank you, as always. We enjoy.
I will be listening.
Ghana, I think Marilyn Law has a few comments. If you want to read them before we go.
Yeah. Marilyn Law says that man has demoralized the woman. She's now too conscious of herself and cannot want sex. That's a very fair point. Yeah. Most people are in an identity crisis, and the changes that come with life and age, we can get confused. Very true.
Like Patience said, people are trying to find themselves at every stage of their life. You have to find who you are, because who you were 5 years ago isn't who you are today, right? So people are doing that.
Be a role model for your children. What my parents did not show me, I will try my best to learn and model that behavior for so that my children can learn too. Very good. So we are not a slave to what our parents showed us. You can improve, and our parents only did what they could do. What they could. So different times back then, and I'm sure our children will grow up and they also have complaints of how we treated them. So what goes around comes around. Yeah, I think that's it. This has been very engaging, and thank Patience for the comments. She's always very resourceful, and not to say we agree with all what she says, but this is Cordinel Binaka. Age, strength, mental growth, and strength, knowledge is power, and it will help to build love. Yeah, that's true.
That is 100% true. 100%. I think the way I reason about life and about love and about sex It's a whole lot different from how I thought about these things when I was 20 or even 30, right? So as we grow, we make priorities, we see life differently, we think about things differently, we experiences, we make decisions differently, right? So that statement is very true. I think age, mental growth, knowledge is power. That is 100% true.
Very fair. Yeah. Man, I love this topic. Well, that's good. I think that's it. We've had engaging conversations, lots of comments. We enjoy those. We like reading from you guys.
Somebody again, there's a comment there. They say coming from a man's perspective is very impressive. When I mentioned this topic to my wife, you're like, yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah. She felt it was important that men talk about how they want to be loved too, right? So I think our perspective as men and having this conversation, I think Cordelia wants to come in for 2 minutes. I don't know why. I don't see why we couldn't.
I have a few more minutes. Yeah, it is not
so. Cardinal, can you send a request to join, and then we'll have you come in.
Yeah, you can come in if you have a few minutes. She can come in if she has a few minutes. Let me see if I can add her. I mean, it's not a topic that is very common amongst men. And to be fair, men are fairly simple. You know, the things that we want are very simple. Sex, silence, and stuff like that. You know?
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Cordinel. I have a little bit of cold.
Oh, yeah.
I normally go live sometimes too, and I'm a nurse and lab technician. Yeah. So I love this topic, and I'm also a motivational speaker, and I also help with relationship coaching. Oh. When I saw this, I was amazed. I've never come across this page. I want to give kudos to the lady who was here before I got in, because it was through her page that I got notified.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know how much you guys have spoken, but from the little I heard, it was really filled with knowledge. So I felt so impressed, and I've never been in a live show where men decide to talk about love or how they want to be loved. So I want to say big kudos to you guys, and it's something that I think I'm a Cameroonian, I should say. I don't know where you are from.
We're both Cameroonians. Yeah.
Nice. So I think it's very impressive. I just wanted to say thank you guys for talking about something like this. But I would also like to add a little bit. I don't know how deep you guys have gone to, because love, to me, I think love is something that is magical. And love can be expressed in different ways. We want to be loved in different ways. I realized that on social media, and when we talk about psychologists, I want to also add that I'm also focused as a psychiatric nurse. So that's how you hear me speaking about mental and all whatnot. And I'm also a genetic counselor. So to add that,
my friend, you're too many.
Yes.
Multiple.
Yeah, I'm just
multi-talented.
So if I use certain words and you see where I'm coming from, that's just a nutshell.
Yeah.
Why I think this is important is that love, hearing from my Cameroonian brothers, I think the perspective we have growing up, we think that a man should just get respect and that's enough when it has to do with love. I bet to disagree. I think a man needs respect and he also needs love. There are some men that need to be called, but sometimes people are embarrassed to talk about it. Yeah, there are some men that need to be cuddled. There are some men that need those pet names also. It doesn't only end with a woman. I think we are trying to make it too fixated into a box that in a way it makes men, I'm focusing about men because I see men here hide their, your masculinity does not mean that if you get pampered by your wife or being painted on the hair, that makes you less of a man. No. It makes you more of a man instead. That's why you see a mother that bets a male child, they always have more, we call this attachment to their mothers, more than female kids. It's because naturally a man needs to be pampered too. We women, we are emotional, but the truth is when you give a man good names, just like they expect a woman to be called baby and all whatnot, there is something that moves in the mind. It does not make you weaker, it makes you stronger. So it's that part that I thought I would contribute here to make us understand that as much as we women want to be pampered and to be called all the love lovey-dovey names. You men to need it. Some men need it. If I'm saying something that is out of the box or the window, you can disagree with me. I'm very open. I like discussions.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I think we talk about that, but I don't know if that's a priority of men's way that they want to receive love, to be caught with.
Yeah, it's a part of it. It's a part of it because, like, we speak about a lot of sex. Sex starts mentally. Some people argue this, but you have hormones that triggers you to start acting physically.
Really mental. For men, it's not so much.
It is partly too. It is partly. You need dopamine, for example,
right?
Because dopamine is the one that gives you that excitement. You need it. You need that happiness. You can't just come out from a very bad match you've watched and a bad day, and the next is palm too. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to see something that excites you from your brain.
Men, when they are stressed, they want to have sex. When they are happy,
of course,
they want to have sex. So
that's true. That's true.
Positive emotion.
But if an example, if a man, for example, has been insulted rightfully from head to top to toe by a woman, immediately will he go into sex?
Well,
that's the question I have for you.
Not necessarily the woman that he wants to have sex with.
Exactly, because it's woman. You know why he goes back to his woman? Because his brain has registered those informations about that particular woman. It's that same woman that always calls him darling, my king, my or whatnot. It is registered. It doesn't just wash away. That's why you could sit in an office in a meeting where you're seeing your lady all open, naked. Why? Because they have that particular lady, you recognize her voice into your brain. There is something about her voice that will tickle you. So you can leave from someone that meets and you're angry, you might go home and have sex. Why? Because that woman has registered something beautiful in your mind. Those good words, that respect that you need as a man. That's why I'm saying that it starts mentally. And why I'm saying that is because when we speak about body shaming, when you start calling a woman name, you have grown fatter, you've grown smaller, all those things, you're weak down there. Those things also, it brings a problem. You have that situation, you don't get attracted anymore. Sometimes I've seen a couple or so people that separated, and this one say, I'm separating you because you cannot perform well in the other room. And they get another lady, and that lady is like, thank God you left that man for me. You know why? Because they were open to learn each other, to train about sex. All those organs, you can train the muscles. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller. It is possible. But people focus on what they want. For example, a woman, your vagina starts maturing from 27 years old until 40. It depends. And those who do Kegel, it gets even better. I will say something personal. I am a mom. I will tell you that I enjoyed sex better after birth. Can you believe that? Those are things that people will not understand. So you just need to know how to go about it, because sometimes you might just be exposed to love making, but you don't know the techniques. Yeah. You don't know how to better you. So it's always possible to get better in the other room. That was what I thought to share with you guys. I don't know.
I think my own, and maybe I'll let Aston comment after this. I think my only pushback is the fact that you think men put a lot of mental thought to sex. We don't need.
No, they don't put a lot of mental thought to sex. That's not what I'm saying. Mentally, if you degrade a man, for example, that's why I want to give this example. I'm not encouraging infidelity. Mm-hmm. That's why they say those who go out there, they say they have how do you call it, side chicks and all whatnot. If a man comes somewhere, you don't give him peace. He will go out. He can still have it. He will go out where they will caress his head and tell him good things and release them, come back to you. Men have focus. They have focus. They know they are family oriented. A man can still leave you at home and goes out there just to catch that fun and come back. But he knows his family with you. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they need a whole big, how do you call it, mental calmness and all whatnot. Yeah, of course, it is something that they get aroused, fine. But if you don't give him that peace, he will still live there and get it somewhere else. That is it.
I definitely agree with you. Men would not acknowledge, but men would take being pampered. I would appreciate if my wife or my partner would call me all these pet names, not because I'm actually wanting it or looking for it, but I definitely would enjoy getting called these lovely names once in a while, right? So every man definitely wants that. Men don't go around asking for it. But if they do,
Of
if
course.
your partner does it, you would appreciate it. I definitely agree with you 100%. And yes, too, men too need to psychologically prepare for sex, really, because there are cases where you know a man starts and then in the middle of that, you know, his machine dies in the middle of that, right? Why
Yeah.
do you think that happens? Because
It's the
I
emotional
think psychologically you are not in the place where that is what you should be doing. So men too need time to get to psychologically build themselves up for sex. I definitely agree that that is something that needs to happen. Men can deny that we can jump from here and here and have sex and it doesn't matter, but that's not true. I think
it
our
also depends on
performance
their
depends
libido.
on our
It
level of
depends on their
preparedness.
libido. Yeah. Because we are talking about things that connect. We talk about the mental part and we talk about the sexual libido. It's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you say. It's like, for example, not everyone has the same level of libido. They are exposed differently and they are exposed to different, types and styles about sex. But one of the things I want to say is like, it's very important for a man to have that mental peace.
Prepared.
It's very important. You know what I'm saying? So it also helps you stress, reduce your testosterone level.
Mm-hmm.
It affects your male hormones. That's where I want to come to, because you can lose your sexual drive. You can meet a man that could have sex like a horse, and the next 2 years you're like, what's happening to this person? Maybe his company is falling apart, things are happening. Before you realize it, lack of sleep, it also affects your sexual drive. Stress affects it. Depression sets in. Some people think that it's all about like just being active. Not everyone is that way. Not everyone. Distractions out there, the stress, the hustle, everything. It could affect them. That's why I say it plays a stronger role mentally. Because if you cannot have that peace and if you don't have that balance of your serotonin and dopamine hormones in your body, you get sad. And what happens to you? You lose your sexual drive. It's something that is biologically proven, it's mentally proven.
I think we need to get in touch with you later on, and maybe we could plan a show around a conversation around things that might affect a man's a sexual drive or sexual performance, right? It sounds like that seemed to be very knowledgeable. There's a lot of information that you've shared, which I think it's a conversation that we could have on its own, right?
Yeah. I want to thank you guys so much. If you don't have any question for me, but I love talking about marriage, relationship, love life, even about financial growth and stuff. So I am very open to topics like that, and I am very proud to be here with two able men talking about love. That makes me feel so happy. And thank you guys for this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining. Like I said,